Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, and I hope that you guys are really good wherever you are. Well, Mina, I'm okay. I'm not great, but like I'm okay. I kind of had like a late night yesterday, but hey, man. And also this morning, I didn't go to the gym, so I'm not feeling my best. But anyways, we move. So as you've seen on the title of this video, today we will be talking about character traits and how they are developed. They developed. I'm sorry about that. And you know what? Like one thing that I've realized is that most people actually think that their character traits are just who they are naturally, like they were born that way. I am sure you've heard someone say I'm just rude style, I am just like this style. It's either you accept that about me or you just leave me alone. And I'm always like, that's not really true. But obviously if you tell yourself something for a very long time, then it actually ends up being true, right? So with that being said, let's just get straight, let's get down to I'm a mess, I know. Let's just get straight into it. So yes, guys, on my previous video, I speak about how children internalize everything that happens to them and around them. And I think we can all agree on the fact that, a lot of things actually happen in our childhood, like bullying, neglect, abandonment, and abuse, any form of abuse, maybe physical, emotional, and verbal. So when you are a kid experiencing all those things, you're defenseless and you can't really stand up for yourself. What happens is that there's certain character traits that gets developed to help you, maneuver through those situations, or those situations actually shape you into becoming a certain person. So I wrote down, a few character traits that may have been developed in our childhood, but I only chose like the negative, character traits, but that does not mean that only negative character traits get formed in our childhood. Also, positive character traits, actually develop in our childhood. However, I chose like the negatives because I think we tend to focus more on like the negative aspect of ourselves, and we think that's just who we are. But I just want you guys to understand, Abuti, you know what, these things are not who we are, but are things that we developed in our childhood to help us, maneuver certain situations or difficult situations, and they can still be worked on, to help us, become better people. So yes, guys, there are obviously a lot of like character traits that get developed, as I just said, but I wrote down a few that I notice a lot in myself, and also, people around me, or people that I get to like interact with. So the first one on my list is attention seeking, right? I think we see a lot of people who actually just loves attention, and we always judge them. And I think I was one of those people that loved attention, and also I used to judge people who love attention, right? But if you're someone who is raised in a household that, you did not really get attention, you didn't really feel like you were loved, you had to work for attention, you had to maybe draw tantrums, you had to like pretend maybe you were sick to actually get the love or the attention that you needed. Just like myself, like in my household, you don't really, just get the love or like the attention. You had to like maybe be sick, or you had to like just throw tantrums, so that they can like notice you. Or also there were like just a lot of kids, in the family, so it was kind of impossible for like our parents to actually just focus on you, as an individual. So what happened rather was that when I grew older, I started, wanting attention, because I never got that in my childhood, right? Like, because that made me feel like when people actually noticed me or like paid attention to me, that made me feel important, that made me feel, like I was loved in a way, because that was something that I never got to like experience in my childhood. So if you can really understand, those things, and get really, like, educated about such things, I think maybe we can get a little, unjudgmental, towards people that we see with example they love attention and things like that. We can actually be empathetic. Another thing, it is people pleasing. not being able to speak your mind and having no boundaries, right? Which is something that is very common, especially in like black, communities, right? Our parents actually raise us to be good people, right? Good kids, actually, good kids, right? So they're like, only speak when you're spoken to and do as you're told, right? No questions asked, nothing. No one cares about how you feel. No one cares about what you think. No one cares about, I don't want to say no one cares about you because that sounds a bit extreme, but basically no one cares about how you feel. You just need to do as you are told and only speak when you're spoken to, right? And obviously our parents raise us to become good people, as we get older. And indirectly what that tells us is that to be a good person, you need to just do as you are told, or do what people need you to do, whatever people need you to do, and just totally disregard your feelings and what you think, right? That is why you find so many adults that are people please, that have no boundaries, that can't really stand up for themselves, right? Because that's how we were raised, right? We were just raised with, just be a good person, just do as you're told, like just avoid conflict, avoid ukuluma, just do it, just choose peace over everything. And that kind of taught us to be a good person, it is to just do whatever people need you to do and not question anything, regardless of how you feel about that. So that is where not being able to speak your mind stem from, right? It comes from, the fact that we were raised to believe that, not being able to speak your mind, or like standing up for yourself, or choosing yourself, right? It is selfish, that therefore, you're not a good person, which is something that is not true. But I'm glad that we're finally getting to a point where we are actually vocal about these things. We understand with being, true to yourself, or speaking your mind, or standing up for yourself, is actually not selfish, and it doesn't make you a bad person. And having boundaries and being able to just say no, and without feeling guilty, not having to explain yourself because you think you're going to be considered a bad person, after you say no, right? And choosing yourself, over other people, or what other people think of you, right? Because that is very, very important, especially having boundaries. Having boundaries will save you from a lot of things. So yes, guys, so now we're going to talk about like neediness, moodiness, and anger issues, right? But I would just love to like focus more on anger issues, because I think that is something that's very common and something that may be, dangerous, right? So anger issues may stem from like a lot of things, neglect, abandonment, or even abuse, right? And unfortunately, it can't be pinpointed down to one specific things, one specific thing, rather. A lot of things could have happened in one's childhood for them to actually, end up having, anger issues. But I think that may lead to a person having anger issues is not being able to express themselves, right? If someone is like not allowed, to express themselves, or not really allowed, but if someone does not know how to express themselves or talk about the things that they're going through, and having to like just bottle everything up, right? I think that may be something that may lead to them having anger issues. So you basically, like, everything happens every day, a lot of things actually happen every day, and then you just take everything in, you go through a lot every day, and you just take it, right? And at some point, obviously, you want to explode, right? It's like it is inevitable, right? So instead of like just internalizing everything and not being able to just express ourselves, let us try to just find, maybe people that we feel comfortable with. Sometimes it may not even be people, right? You just take a piece of paper and a pen and just write down your feelings. Just make sure you get everything out, everything that you may be feeling, because I know sometimes, like, society may, like, speaking about like your problems, or speaking about, the things that you're going through, that may be considered as being weak, especially for men, So I highly advise that, like we speak about the things that we go through, find, safe spaces, or like people that we may feel safe to express ourselves to, and actually like talk about the things that we go through, so that we may be able to just control our anger issues, because I feel like everyone, like has a bit of like anger issues. It's just a matter of like being able to control them, right? Or being able to like manage your issues, right? Because I mean, we can't really control what happens to us, but we can always control how we react to things. So being able to manage your anger issues, it is very, very important. So yes, guys, there are a lot of like character traits, obviously, that I did not mention. Like you can just comment down below if you feel like I did leave out, some of, very important ones, because obviously I can't cover everything, especially in one video, because I don't really like to make my videos long. I know how tiring it can get to just watch, a video end, so yeah. But another thing that I wanted to share before this video ended, right, a few days ago, if not like a week ago, I had a conversation with one of my parents, actually, and they told me about something that happened in their childhood, how their father was not a good provider, and how he chose alcohol over taking care of them, rather, and how that parent of mine made a promise to themselves, Ruti, they will never, they will never not provide for their family, they will never not, take care of their family, financially, right? And their parent of mine actually made sure that we were taken care of, especially, financially, right? But what I realized was that we actually tend to focus more on the things that we lacked in our childhood, right? So that parent of mine actually became the money parent, because money was the one thing that he mostly lacked in their childhood, right? We ended up, suffering because that parent of mine only focused on like the money aspect of things, right? They didn't focus on like, making sure the children were like taken care of emotionally. They had the emotional support, or like they were loved and things like that. So the point of this whole thing is that we mostly, tend to focus on like the things that we lacked in our childhood, right? If you feel like money was like the problem in your childhood, oftentimes you will focus mostly on like getting the money in your adulthood, because you don't want, you don't want a repeat of what happened in your childhood, right? You're trying to avoid, your childhood situation. However, okay, let me just make an example with myself, right? Because that parent of mine actually took care of us rather, financially. So I basically never worried about money, right? In my family, like money was not that big of an issue. Not that like we were rich, we were just okay. We lived fine, like we had food on the table. We just basically had everything that we needed, right? So that is why I do what I do now, because I lacked, the emotional support, like all of that. So now I get to do what I do. I get to focus on like my emotional health, because it is something that I mostly lacked in my childhood. So I really want us to be careful of that, right? Because we tend to like operate from that place of like, it's because I lacked this in my childhood, now I'm going to like focus on. Sometimes it happens unconsciously, like we actually do that, we are not even conscious that we are doing that. But balance is everything, right? Because you may think, Uti, you are trying to solve a problem that happened in your childhood, but actually you're creating another problem, because you are not, there is no balance, right? In my childhood, I like, emotional support, and now I'm able to like just focus on that now. But also, if I choose to not focus on like the financial aspect of things, and obviously my future children are going to suffer, because obviously I'm going to be there for them emotionally, but financially I won't be there. So balance is very important, and to make sure that you do not operate from a place of lack. Lacking something in your childhood doesn't necessarily mean obesity. You need to just only focus on that one thing that you lacked. balance is really important. Focus on that thing that you like, but also make sure that you also cover the other aspect of things, so that your future children or like the people that you love won't suffer, right? So I think that is where I'm going to end this video. Yeah, I just really hope that it was helpful, and I think the point of me like making this video was to really make you guys understand Uguti. The things that we think Uguti, they are us, they are ourselves, you know, like the things that we don't really separate ourselves from are actually can be are things that can actually be fixed, or like the things that can actually be worked on, you know. And yeah, they're not really who we are. So I think we should stop, you know, using words like that's just how I am, you know, you just need to accept this about me or leave me alone. But instead, you know, say, you know what, I'm going to work on that, you know, so that we can actually become better people, not only for ourselves but also for the people that we love, right? So yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you guys on my next video, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also just comment down below and tell me what you want us to talk about, you know, next time. So yeah, and also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm at simply Thandeka_. I love you guys so much. See you next time.